Many people have asked me, over the last several weeks and months, about the state of manufacturing in North Carolina. I think the last time someone asked me, my response was that manufacturing was strong and struggling. It's struggling under the weight of the strength, with all of the things that's needed to deal with the strength of the demand for the things that are happening out there. And so that's something I'd like to start out with. Jeff, I'll start with you. I know you're really, really busy filling these orders that you're getting. And, is that an easy thing to do? And what is the state of your ability to deal with the demand out there?
Yeah, so Phil, this is the busiest we've ever been in our 16 years, which is a good problem to have, but it's we saw 300% growth last year, and just trying to manage that growth, hire people, bring in new equipment. So, lead times are longer in the supply chain. So we used to be able to get a new machine in 4 weeks. Now it's closer to 12 to 24 weeks. So, getting these orders and then, trying to get the equipment, hiring is a challenge since COVID, quite honestly. So it's a great problem, but it's still a problem that has to be managed. So getting equipment, robotics, we keep adding robotics and automation, so we're able to compete with China and other, low-cost producing countries. So, it's a great time for us, and we doubled even over last year, again, this first half of the year, but we really have to manage the growth so it's not it's controlled chaos, if that makes sense, Phil.
Yeah. Jerry, do you concur with that in terms of the equipment? How hard is it for you guys to put the equipment together for these companies?
Well, just like Jeff, I'm going to say in the years we've been here, probably as busy as we've been. I agree with what you said, Phil. Manufacturing is strong and struggling, and we're in that boat. We can have big projects here that we can't ship because of a motor or a PLC and a chip in that. And then that can hold up this $1 million machine from supporting a manufacturer somewhere. So we're going into a lot of that. It seems simple to find these parts in the world, but it's not. We end up getting on eBay and things like that to solve our problems and get parts in here. So it's a struggle getting things in. Somehow our guys are getting it done. In the state. One more thing I'll say about the state: the automotive guys seem a bit slow. A lot of our customers were into fuel systems on the gasoline engines, and they're not buying a lot right now. But it seems like life science and consumer goods, things like Jeff's in, seems to have picked everything up. So our state in manufacturing is certainly strong here at Mertech.
Yeah. So Matt, I guess from the accounting standpoint, the money's still flowing.
Sometimes that's right.
Yeah.
What I've seen is I do think it's strong, especially in North Carolina. I think our companies are seeing top lines grow, and they're forecasting, higher top lines. I think it's amazing watching people try to be flexible. And I think that's what, flexible and adaptable are kind of two words that I'm seeing companies have to deal with. Is top line's going up, but we're having a hard time attracting and retaining talent, and we're having a hard time sourcing, materials to make our product. And even if we do make it, it's hard to work out the logistics and ship our product. So, to go along with maybe flexible, adaptable, I'd even put in optimism, where you have our leaders like Jerry and Jeff and others on this call. Their optimism is what's able to a lot of times carry the day with companies to try to keep their groups finding a new way to do things differently. And it's that age-old, story of you've got to find a new way to do things that, in the past may have been easier or more streamlined. And now you just got to find a different way to get to that same answer.
Yeah. So Patrick, I'm sure you're getting a lot of phone calls these days, in terms of where can we find someone to help us? How are you able to handle this demand for the people to handle these jobs?
Yes, sir. And that is an issue we're having right now. There's just about every manufacturer in Robinson County, our surrounding areas, is looking for a large number of employees. Usually their demand is higher than what we've got. Our issue is, we want to retain our students and get them through our programs also. So one of the ways we've been doing that is trying to increase our apprenticeship programs. I keep harping back on apprenticeships already, but getting them to go to work and getting them trained on the job while we're also training them back in the fundamentals in the classroom. So for us, it's a win-win because we're preparing them for their future, but at the same time, they're working. Most of our students already are working. So why not put them in their industry areas that they want to do instead of, a McDonald's or whatever to kind of pay the bills. The only other issue is ongoing is as our manufacturing in Robeson County has gone from textiles to now manufacturing areas, we do lose some of our students before they finish their programs and have to figure out how to schedule classes, do things at night, or we've even talked about second and third shift classes, trying to get those students who can work and go fill those voids and still finish up with their degrees to be successful in the future.
So Sharon, from a research perspective, looking ahead, are we in for more of the same, or what do you see on the horizon for manufacturing in North Carolina? Is it, is there hope that things will be different, or are we looking at a different area?
Well, we're looking in the last, and I'm new to Robeson County about 2 years now, coming in from a separate county, but I can tell you, looking and talking to the community and the industries that are here, when the textiles kind of folded up, this was kind of a dark and not a lot of hope for the community at that time, but we've slowly been getting more and more manufacturers moving in. Robeson and Lumberton, the city of Lumberton have done a economic development area at the intersection between 74, 76 and I-95. And we're excited because like LK, for example, is building a distribution center to kind of solve some of their problems with getting the product out. That should be open by the first of next year. So we're seeing influx. Just off the top of my head, how many industries have talked with us about what we can do and how we can supply the skilled, trained workforce. It's promising. I think what we've got to do is just a better job for us is preparing our students and making sure that we're in connection with those industries so that our students are better prepared to make that smooth transition from classroom to the workforce.
Yeah. Dr. Painter, what does your research tell you about the sustainability of all this? I mean, how are we going to be going forward with all this strength? And is there any change on the horizon you see?
So I think, Phil, when you're looking at research from a big picture perspective, it's making sure that we're anticipating and preparing for how we use old tools in new ways, as well as developing new tools to deploy for new problems. And so that means that universities, especially and our community college partners who are working with industry, are really needing to put an ear to the ground with our industry experts to understand what are the problems that folks are facing every day on the manufacturing floors, and how can we use technology or how can we use new innovative discoveries to address those problems. One of the things that I think we've learned through COVID is, and I'm sure that that you all, Jerry, sort of teased it a little bit, are feeling that supply chain, and Jeff, feeling that supply chain squeeze a whole lot more than we ever anticipated feeling before we got into this global economy affected by a pandemic. And so really looking at, from a university perspective, how can we help our partners to assess things like supply chain strengths and weaknesses, and what sorts of platforms can we help to deploy and to eliminate sometimes vulnerabilities that exist. The cybersecurity world is colliding now with the production world. And so from a university research perspective, I think that we're in a new era, but we're in a new era to be able to use the analytical skills and the technical expertise that we've got in some different ways.